Hi again. It's time for a double dose. So today's second reading will be from Sharks in the Streets. Rocking my Coast Guard t-shirt since it is about the Coast Guard. Let's get going. Chapter 1. Logan Daniel and Beckett Cole work together as officers in the U.S. Coast Guard. They've been working together for 10 years and dating for the past 5. They're based in Maryland but constantly going on missions on the east and west coasts. Logan is 10 years older than Bex, his pet name for her, and he came from Australia during college. "Where are they sending us?" Beckett asked, her tone rushed as she and Logan suited up for their mission. Logan glanced her way. "Oak Island, North Carolina. There's a Coast Guard station there where we can set up and wait out the storm." "They want us close for rescue efforts," she replied. "Smart move. Is there anything we need that isn't right here?" Logan shook his head. "We're ready. The team packed for us." He moved closer to her. "We're getting there early enough we can have a few date nights," he whispered. His idea caused a smile to cross her lips. "It sucks that we can't come out as a couple. If we did, they wouldn't let us be partners anymore," she stated, her smile turning to a frown. "In our line of work," he began, "we would have a lot of time apart if we weren't working so closely together. This is the smart play, even if sneaking around is tiring." He added. Bex shook off their conversation. "Let's just get to Oak Island so we can be ready." Logan grinned. "Now you're speaking my language. Help me load the truck." He playfully tossed one of their duffels her way. Once the truck was packed, Bex glanced at Logan. "Who's driving?" "You know the answer to that question, Lieutenant Commander," he quipped before taking the driver's seat. Bex climbed into the passenger side. "That's fine because I'm going to find things for us to do once we get there. How many days out are they predicting for the storm?" "Perhaps we should begin by gathering information about the city and its people," he replied, surprising her because she was usually the one to put work first. "We should have 2 days before the hurricane is close enough to cause damage. They're preparing for a Category 4, he shared. Beck's eyes widened. "Fantastic. This won't be a walk in the park." She shook her head while pulling up the stats about Oak Island. "Okay, there's only one way on or off the island. If people wait too long to leave, it'll be a traffic nightmare. About 7,000 people live there. Will the Coast Guard staff be staying?" she asked, looking up from her phone screen. "Their station has been unstaffed for about a year now," Logan explained. "The residents will only have us to help them until reinforcements arrive if things escalate to that level. My hope is that most people will evacuate." "Here's to hoping," Bex agreed. "Now, may I look up things for us to do on those dates you mentioned earlier? Pretty please, Commander Daniel," she added, beaming with an adorable smile. Logan shook his head, suppressing a laugh. "Using my title for non-work-related requests? Sometimes you're too much. Go ahead and find some appropriate romantic things to do." He let out a chuckle as he reached out and took her hand in his. Logan and Bex arrived at Oak Island's Coast Guard station hours later, just as night was almost upon them. There was a lighthouse right next to the abandoned station, which could prove beneficial to get a better vantage point on what was coming. Bex was the first one out of the truck, grabbing some of their bags and gear to take inside. "What's our plan for tonight?" she asked once Logan joined her inside. "We should go into town for food, especially if we get stuck here for a while," he replied. "And it'll be a great way to get an idea about this town. We need to see what areas are most vulnerable while also scouting out how many people are still here." Bex gave him a nod. "Sounds like a good plan to me. Let's grab dinner at Lazy Turtle Bar and Grill. It's on the main road right before we hit the main city." Logan offered his arm and led her to the truck for their short drive into the city with the view of the ocean on their left for the entire drive. They pulled up at the restaurant, which wasn't very busy, which was a good sign for their upcoming rescue efforts, and sat at a table by the window where they could still see the ocean. "I haven't seen y'all around here before," their waitress announced her presence. "I'm Nancy, and I'll be taking care of you." Oops. Bex and Logan had decided to say they were visiting because they worried that telling people in the town they're Coast Guard might make people feel safe and decide to stay. Bex answered, "We just came for a quick romantic getaway." Nancy shook her head. "Y'all picked a bad time with the hurricane coming." She changed the subject. "What can I get you two?" "We'll take 2 orders of steak tacos and some beers," Logan replied with a smile. Bex held up her hand. "I'll just have a water, thanks." "I'll get those orders started," Nancy answered as she turned away and walked from the table. Logan was looking at Bex curiously. "I don't think I've ever seen you turn down a beer. What's going on?" She shook her head. "Nothing's going on. I'm just not in the mood for a beer." She abruptly changed the subject. "Do you ever think about our future? Where do you see us going?" she asked, suddenly self-conscious for bringing up the topic. "We touched on that earlier, didn't we, love?" he answered while also avoiding the question. "I see us just as we are today. If we try to be anything else or something more serious, then we can't work together anymore, and I don't want that." She nodded. I don't want that either, but I see us as more. When I think of us, I see kids and a house, maybe even a dog. She sighed and shook off her feelings. You're right, though. Forget I even brought it up. Logan furrowed his brow. You don't have to shy away from things if they're important to you. I see the things you mentioned too, but we would have to retire from the Coast Guard or switch to desk jobs to have that version of our lives. I'm not ready to give up this yet. Not yet anyway, he explained, hoping to ease her hurt feelings. He knew she'd never admit to being sad, not to his face anyway. Bex reached across the table, taking his hands. I promise I'm good. We don't have to rush things. As long as we're here together, that's all I need, she reassured him, shaking off the feelings that she needed to tell him more about her motivation for wanting to discuss their future. Luckily, Nancy showed back up with their drinks along with chips and salsa. Your food should be just a few more minutes, she said, before disappearing again. So, Bex began, hoping to lighten the mood. What kind of supplies should we grab? There's a food line a few blocks from here. He wasn't sold on her plea for him not to worry about her comments, but he shook it off, knowing they needed to focus on the mission. Non-perishables, because we are definitely going to lose power on this tiny island. I would like to get some steaks, though, and make you a nice meal before the storm arrives, he stated, his lips curling into a small grin. I would like that, she replied. Just don't let us forget coffee. Instant, I guess, if we're going to be in the dark. I won't be any fun at all without it. Logan let out a laugh. Trust me, I wouldn't dream of riding out a hurricane by your side without coffee, he mocked her, finally breaking the tension. Did you find things for us to do? He asked. Bex smiled. There's an environmental trail we can walk tomorrow night, maybe before you cook me dinner. I didn't really see anything else interesting, but we do have the beach, she suggested. I vote for renting jet skis, he said in return. We could each have one or ride on one together, whichever you'd like. Their food was placed in front of them as he finished his idea. Once they finished their meal, Bex got a wicked idea, causing a grin to cross her lips, catching Logan's attention. What's going on inside that mind of yours, love? He asked. She reached across the table. How would you feel about playing mini-golf before we went back to the Coast Guard station? He looked down as he smiled, his crow's feet visible. How could I forget about your insane love for that game? If it would give you joy, then I would love to. Did you look up a place already? She nodded. There's a course right down the street called Oak Island Jungle Golf. She could barely hold back her enthusiasm. Lead the way, he gestured, as he stood and guided her back to the truck, unable to suppress his own smile at seeing her so thrilled. He drove to the course and sighed in relief to see it wasn't packed. Logan turned off the engine and walked around to open Beck's door. Are you ready to lose, he asked, his tone playful, though he knew how competitive she could be. I'm ready to watch you lose, she retorted. Just know that I get the blue ball, she added while making her way to the counter to get their game started. Logan laughed to himself as he joined her before they began the jungle-themed course. I am loving these water features, Bex shared as they neared the halfway point of the course. And all the animals. This might be one of my new favorite mini-golf places, she decided before placing her ball down. They were tied, each taking turns to fall behind before catching back up. I wouldn't get too attached, love, Logan replied, looking down as he grinned. This place may not be around for very long after the storm comes on land, he stated, reminding them both of why they were in this city. Bex let out a sigh. Then I suppose we should enjoy every minute of this game in case we never get another chance, she added as she tapped the ball, narrowly avoiding the obstacle laid out in the middle of the hole. Logan placed his own ball down to take his turn. That's the best way to look at this, isn't it? I'm game for your idea. And that is the end of chapter 1. It's the longest of the first chapters, I think, that I have. I hope you guys enjoyed the very beginning of Sharks in the Streets. We'll be back tomorrow for, I think, the last stop. Hopefully I'm right. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye!